Welcome to my video tutorial on how to carry out a titration. Now here's some of the equipment that you're going to be needing to use when you carry out the titration. The whole purpose of it is to use a known concentration of a substance, in this case the hydrochloric acid. We know the concentration is 0.1 moles per decimetre cubed, and we're going to use that to work out the concentration of the sodium hydroxide solution. Now, before you carry out the titration, you'll need to draw out a table for results. So we're going to need an initial volume in centimetres cubed. We'll need a final volume in centimetres cubed, and we'll need the actual titer in centimetres cubed. And then we do a rough titration. The first titration that you do will give a rough idea of how much of the acid you're going to add to the sodium hydroxide. Once you've got that, you can then carry out a first and then a second titration. And I talk in my video about concordant results. Okay, so here's the video. Make some notes as you watch it so that when you come into the classroom you'll be ready to carry out the titration straight away. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to put some hydrochloric acid into the burette. So make sure that the tap is horizontal, that means it's closed. Put the funnel in the top and pour a small amount into the burette. We're then going to tilt it and rotate. This rinses the burette with the hydrochloric acid. Then I'm going to empty it into a waste beaker, twisting the tap a few times to drain the acid out. I'm going to rotate all the way around and empty. Once it's drained, you then need to make sure the tap is horizontal again. Place the funnel in the top, and this time you're going to pour the acid until it sits above the 0 line on the burette. So here's the 0, and I filled the liquid up way above. This is because at the bottom there's some air trapped and we need to remove that. To remove the air, you need to hold the burette over the waste beaker, open the tap and give the burette a downward thrust. Close the tap. You can now see there's no air at the bottom. That's really important because this is a 50 ml burette, but it takes into account all of the liquid below that 50 mark. Now, once you've filled above, what we need to do now is to drop this liquid down so that that meniscus, the curved part, sits at the bottom of that 0 line. So watch as I drain, carefully opening the tap to allow a small amount of liquid to drain into the waste beaker. As it goes down, slowly lower it until that meniscus is on the 0. The burette is now ready to use, so we need to clamp it into place, but make sure there's enough room at the bottom so it's not right down here but it's not right at the top either, just sort of midway, and tighten the clamp to hold it in place. Don't over tighten the clamp because that can break the burette. I'm now going to use the glass pipette and a pipette filler to suck up 25 centimetres cubed of sodium hydroxide. First of all, we need to rinse the pipette, so place it into the liquid, not so that it sits in the bottom, so that it hovers into the liquid, and then place the pipette filler onto the top. So we carefully place the pipette filler onto the top. Don't force it, just gently slide it onto the top of the glass pipette. Then using the wheel at the top, you can withdraw a small amount of liquid about halfway into the pipette bulb, Remove the filler and place your finger on the top. Hold the finger firmly in place, remove from the liquid and tilt to the side. Rotate, allow a small amount of liquid to go into the end, rotate again, and then allow this to drain into the waste beaker. So now we've cleaned the pipette, get your piece of tissue ready. Place the pipette filler on the top again, carefully placing it on, and roll the wheel to withdraw some of the liquid. Now you might find when you get about halfway that the wheel is fully retracted, so you need to put your finger on this little lever on the side, push the wheel all the way down, and then start refilling. We need to go so that the liquid sits above the white line, and then place a finger on the top. Remove the glass pipette from the liquid with your finger firmly on the top. Wipe down the side, that's to remove any liquid that's on the outside of the pipette, and then drain the liquid so the bottom of the meniscus sits on the line of the pipette. Squeeze the finger down and then allow this to drain into the conical flask. So all the liquid is out of the pipette. Allow the bottom of the pipette to touch the very top of the liquid in your conical flask, and that will draw the rest of the liquid out. Now you have 25.0 centimetres cubed of sodium hydroxide in your conical flask. You need to place that on the white tile and add a few drops of phenolphthalein solution. You'll notice that it goes pink. The titration we're going to carry out will reach an end point when that pink colour completely disappears and goes colourless. So I'm going to hold the flask with my right hand because I'm right-handed, and this will allow me to swirl the solution. I'm going to titrate with my left hand, placing my thumb and my middle finger on the tap, and then I'm going to rotate the tap round and swirl simultaneously. Now you can watch the solution against the white tile so you can see a colour change clearly, and what we're looking for is the point where that pink solution starts to disappear. I imagine this will be around between 20 and 25 centimetres cubed. So I'm going to allow this to drain down until about 18 centimetres cubed at a fast rate. Right, I'm going to start slowing the titration down now. So I'm going to give it quick spins while shaking at the same time. Now you should start to see the pink colour in the flask is going to start to fade. As I reach that end point, you can either do it drop by very, very carefully opening the tap so you're only allowing one drop through at a time. And keep swirling. Or you can do a quick spin. Now you can see on that last spin there, that colour has completely disappeared. You need to count 15 seconds, and if the colour is still colourless, that means the titration has reached its end point. So I'm going to read my burette now. So the numbers are going down. So to see how much hydrochloric acid has been added, I can see that it goes down to 27, and the bottom of the meniscus of that hydrochloric acid is sitting on the third dash down. So we're reading at 27.3 centimetres cubed. Okay, so that first titration is a rough titration. What you want to do is to refill the burette as you did before, up to the 0 mark, and then repeat that titration knowing where your end point is going to be. Now you will need to record that result for the second titration and then repeat again for a third time until your results sit between 0.5 of each other. So my result came out as 27.3. I know that's around the 27 point, whereas where I need to slow down. So you will repeat those titrations until you get results that are within 0.5 of each other. We call this a concordant result. Okay, so in the video you saw that I started off with my burette and it read 0.0 as I filled it right up to the top. The final titration came out at 27.3, so therefore my titration overall was 27.3. Now you don't have to fill the burette up to the top, you could start it off at a different level, so it could, the value here could be, I don't know, 1.3 centimetres cubed, and obviously you take that away from your final titration to give your overall tighter value. Now I'll talk about this being a rough titration, so that means now I know that the volume that the endpoint will be at about 27.3. So when I then carry out my next two titrations here, I know that I need to start slowing the solution down when I start getting to about 25 centimetres cubed, adding it drop by drop, and then I'm going to record those results here in the final, and then work out what the titration is. And overall you're looking at GCSE for results that are within 0.5 of each other to have concordant results. You could then work out an average of these two results, not including the rough. Okay, so that's the end of my video tutorial. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you.